Mocks are the best way to learn. They are like imprints in your mind a pattern of which the paper can come across.
Exactly.
Yes. It's like just covering your weakness. If you do your mock test and you find that these are the places I'm lacking, you can just do a series of sectional tests to improve where you are lacking.
Studying in this country's most prestigious law school is something that every student who aspires to be a lawyer wants. But to get there, you have to undertake a journey which is cutthroat, massive, and it includes a lot of effort. Now, we have someone who has not only covered this journey but has also completed it and qualified this exam with flying colors. So everyone, please welcome Tanush Mehrotra, who qualified CLAT and is now a student of BYJU'S Kolkata. I'm really proud to speak with him today. Okay, so hi Tanush, I'm really excited, actually overwhelmed to speak with you. How are you?
I am all good, yes.
So before we, discuss the journey, let's discuss about you.
Yes, my name is Tanush Mehrotra. I am from Kanpur and I am very lucky to have achieved Air 191 in CLAT 2023 exam. Yes.
That's actually amazing. So BYJU'S is the college that you got.
Yes.
Well, it's one of the best law schools in the country. How are you feeling?
I am feeling very privileged to be a part of this community and I'm very excited to join the college soon.
Of course. When do you start your class?
My document verification will take place on 15th July, orientation on 17th, and then classes will commence from 18th of July.
Well, all the best for that.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's start from the beginning. When you finally saw the result, your rank, your score, what was the reaction?
Obviously, I was very ecstatic. It is a very admirable rank, and I've been told that I do not deserve it. But of course, I told my father about my rank as soon as I saw my result, and his first reaction was, "Oh, you'll get into Hyderabad."
So that's what he wanted for you? He wanted you to end up in Nalsar?
I mean, he just wanted what's best for me to, maybe have the, highest ranking university according to NIRF or whatever it is.
Right. So, but BYJU'S is an equally
good
college.
Of course.
One might
say it's better.
Yeah. There, in some aspects, it is definitely better. So, let's come to the competitive, process. How did you start? What made you decide that you would be doing law?
The subjects which, I was told that lawyers would be studying these subjects like history, sociology, polity. All these subjects were those which I agreed with, and they were subjects I was quite familiar to. And they were already quite interesting to me, so I just thought that this might be a field which might be for me. Okay,
so when did you start preparing exactly?
I knew about CLAT beforehand, but I properly started studying for it after September. Yes, in September.
In September 2022?
Yes.
Right. So, like properly studying
as in earlier I was slacking off a lot, but now I drew up a concrete strategy and, really took my preparation to the next stage.
So, are you suggesting that in 3-4 months' time you can really qualify CLAT?
Oh,
I mean,
you're
a glaring example.
It is possible, of course.
It is possible.
I have heard of people who have studied less qualifying it with a better rank.
No, but in my personal experience, I believe that people don't tell you the truth. They actually...
I mean, I am sure my parents would be better, examples of how much I have studied because they know how much I have, but I think that I properly started studying in the later part of the year.
Right. So, what did you change after September?
Of course, the number of hours. Earlier, I used to focus mainly on subjects which I, like studying, like legal reasoning and awareness. That was just a subject which I enjoyed studying, and I, slacked off on other subjects. But after September, I drew up a proper table on what I needed to study. I started studying more hours daily, of course, because that is something which you cannot compromise on. And I think 5 hours a day I did. And towards the end, in near December, I did like 6-7 hours a day.
That's actually a very good amount of time that you dedicate to this competition.
I mean, of course.
Okay, so what was your subject-wise strategy overall?
I could never really divide subjects and study multiple subjects a day, and so I just studied a single subject in long periods of time. For example, I studied logical reasoning for a week, then I studied legal reasoning for a week, then English for a week. I did like that.
Okay, and what was your section-wise strategy like?
While attempting the paper?
No, while preparing only. Like, you know, how did you gather the material? What were your references, etc.?
Of course, the resources provided by the BYJU'S team have been very helpful. Like the section-wise tests were helpful to gauge where I stand, and of course, the mock papers I believe were very balanced.
Right.
The difficulty level of the mock papers were something which matched the real exam.
Exactly. So topic tests you mentioned contributed to your preparation.
Yes.
Can you elaborate on that?
For example, quantitative aptitude was a subject which I was really lacking at due to a slower speed, and of course I needed to practice section wise, but I could not find somewhere where you know, there was specifically CLAT aimed questions elsewhere. And I accidentally brought BYJU'S test prep actually, because I saw that it was the cheapest one available.
It's the cheapest and it is the best, evidently.
So maths, it really helped me a lot. And even the math section in this exam was actually one of the more difficult ones. And I have been told I have scored an above average amount in this section this time, which I contribute to the amount of section-wise test I attempted.
Right. So basically, you know, I'm always advising students that after their wholesome preparation, when they're done with their subjects and everything, it is the topics that they need to focus upon.
Oh, of course, you need to find where you're weak at.
Exactly. And you figure it out through topics only. I'm good in Constitution, but I'm not good in fundamental rights, and I'm not able to grasp, right? So topic wise tests help you in that regard. Was there any section, or were there multiple sections that you were really strong at?
Logical reasoning and English were always among my strengths from the start. They were subjects which I never really needed to focus on a lot. Okay. They were subjects which I could naturally grasp. And if you ask about subjects I really did not do well at, they would have to be GK and maths, of course.
Why GK and maths?
You see, there is no straightforward way to study GK. There is no concrete syllabus. There is no definition. There is no, there is no regulation. And so you never really know what can come in GK. So there is no short way to study for GK. However, in sections like English and logical, you know that this type of question will always come. So you can always prepare for a certain certainty. Right. Okay. Whereas in GK, it is always uncertain. You have no idea what the consortium may ask.
Well, it is true. GK is infinite, but there is a way you can, concise it. There's a certain strategy that works in GK also. But
I'm sure I'm not the person to ask that.
No, of course. So English and logical were your best sections.
Yes.
And how did you practice them? Like, where did you practice them from?
I mostly practiced them, of course, from the BYJU'S portal. And for English, I did not really do a specific book. I just did section-wise and topic-wise tests from the BYJU'S exam portal. Yes.
Okay. So did you read newspapers?
I tried, but I was not very successful in the long run.
Right. So, before the exam, were you an avid reader?
Oh, yes, of course.
So, would you say that your reading ability
definitely. Comprehension is like the only thing that defines success in this exam, and your reading speed is what separates you from the rest. If you're able to read fast, you can compromise on sections like maths. During my mock preparations, I had dedicated 1.5 hours to the rest of the paper and half an hour specifically for 15 marks of maths. So yes, that is something which you can slack off on if you are faster at other sections.
Okay, that's great actually. So, reading is definitely a key area where students need to work upon.
Oh, of course. The most important area.
The most important, in fact, exactly. So, if you're not a good reader, if your speed is slow, if
subpar even, you are at a significant disadvantage compared to the people who are who have been reading since childhood.
Exactly. Okay, so when did you start performing well? When did you figure out that yes, finally I am at a score? In the mocks, yes.
Well, earlier I used to score very below average marks. I started in the early 70s and it stayed that way for a few months. However, by the time I started, properly studying in October and November, my mocks had, started touching 90s. And I remember I gave one mock before CLAT, like on December 17th, and I got 103 on that. So I was very confident, yes.
That's amazing. So how often did you take mocks?
In the start, I took one every week, but
Okay.
in October, I did one every 3 days,
Hmm.
and in November and December, I mean, not of course in the end of December, while in the end of December, I only revised topics, but in November, I did one every alternate days.
Okay.
Hmm.
Right. So one every other day.
Mocks are the best way to learn. They are like it imprints in your mind a pattern of which the paper can come across.
Exactly.
Yes.
It is the closest simulation to the
Exactly.
exam. You cannot practice any other way. So how about sectional tests?
Sectional tests were, I used to do them before mocks, mainly as a warm-up to see where I stand, and especially in subjects like maths, when I saw a topic which, for example, a 5-question portion, like I saw that I had 2 incorrect in that question, and the rest they were correct. So of course I had a weakness in that specific topic, so I did a sectional test from that topic. For example, trains and the speed distance time questions, they were something which I was not good at the beginning.
That's actually a very good strategy. Sectional test first and then a mock test gives you a certain warmth.
Yeah.
Now, there is another problem that students face, managing school and CLAT. It's the most common question that people ask me. How did you do it?
My main focus was, of course, on the competitive exam, because that is what defines where you're going to college, of course. If you are aiming to, have a good board percentage, then, of course, CLAT isn't your priority. But if your priority is CLAT, that should definitely be your focus.
It is. I mean, there was this one time a father asked me, one of the students' father, how should I, instruct my son to prepare for school and for competitive exam?
I mean, at the end of the day, we are only human after all. There is only a certain amount everyone can study. And of course, CLAT is an exam which happens early and results also get released early. So I think it happens naturally that if a student gets a good result, he will of course not want to study for the board exams because he is already qualified for college. And if the student has gotten a subpar result, he will try to work harder for boards because he wants to, salvage what he has got going on.
Right, that's absolutely correct. So basically, balancing is not really required since boards, they happen afterwards.
Yeah, they're like, if you are, coming, I mean, this is a controversial opinion, but yes, science is more of a difficult stream to study. But if you are coming from commerce or humanities, that is something which you can cover in the 4 months after CLAT. And of course, if you are a science student and you are trying to go for CLAT, of course you can go for that. There are people in my college, of course, who have done that as well. But there has to be a certain disconnect at some point, of course.
Of course. So would you say that coming from humanities background helped you in your...
Oh yes, a lot of the static GK was common with my ISC regulation course, and I enjoyed studying ISC as well as the static GK because they all, it was all connected. So I felt like it was all the same.
Exactly. Yes. So there's one question that I really would want to ask. How has BYJU'S Exam Prep contributed to your success?
You see, the main benefit of BYJU'S Exam Prep are the of course the mock tests and as well as the sectional tests. They are the mock tests in specific are very balanced and they are very close to what the real CLAT's exams difficulty is. And the sectional tests are a great way to gauge where you stand. They are just as a practice to see it's like just covering your weakness. If you do your mock test and you find that these are the places I'm lacking, you can just do a series of sectional tests to improve where you are lacking.
Exactly. And we also give you an analysis of where you stand, the strengths and weaknesses.
Yes.
Statistical part. It tells the student where he is.
It is actually very validating when you see that you have done 4,000 questions in a month.
Is there any piece of advice that you would want to impart to your juniors?
There is no short way of studying for CLAT. There is no one path fits all. CLAT is more of a background based exam based on where you already stand. So if you are blatantly copying someone else's preparation style, it might not work for you. You have to find out what kind of way you yourself have to prepare, and that starts by finding where your weaknesses lie. So the best way a new CLAT aspirant would want to begin his preparation would be to give a mock blind without studying anything beforehand and gauging where mistakes are being made.
So would you recommend students to join BYJU'S Exam Prep?
Oh yes, it helped me, it will help others.
Thank you so much, Tanush. It was lovely speaking with you, very encouraging, very inspiring. I'm sure your juniors can gather from your journey and take lessons, strategies, etc. So that's it for today. I hope you learned something. See what he did, try to incorporate it. He actually has a very good, set of advices that you can incorporate in your preparation style. Thank you so much, guys. Take care.